Okay guys, you asked, I'm answering. These are some of the most common questions we get asked about full-time family travel and traveling for extended adventures with your family. For context, I am Jimmy from Families on the Horizon, and we've been traveling full-time now for over a year, and I'm going to answer some of the questions that I think you guys may find interesting. Okay, so the first question we got here is, what destinations were less enjoyable or challenging and why? This is a great question, and I'll tell you what. The country we actually found the most challenging, but also the most enjoyable is actually Vietnam. We loved Vietnam and we could really see ourselves living there for a long period of time, except no one speaks English. Now, that is not the fault of the Vietnamese. They speak Vietnamese, and if you go into their country, you should probably speak Vietnamese too. But we just found it very difficult to communicate with the Vietnamese because the Vietnamese language is so different to English. So it's not like Malaysia or Philippines where it's all kind of the same letters. It's just obviously they say it differently. In Vietnamese, they use tones like the Chinese. So if you say it wrong, it has a different meaning, like from a tone perspective. So we found that quite difficult, and it was one place where Google Translate didn't work very well. So we couldn't rely on Google Translate, and that made it very difficult because we're like, oh, wait a minute, are we ordering a frog or are we ordering beef? We have no idea. So that made it difficult because it just sort of limited our choices. Whereas in Malaysia, you can kind of read the menu and go, oh, that kind of sounds like egg. That kind of looks like pancake. Another challenging place from a logistics perspective, which kind of did make this less enjoyable, was the Philippines. We absolutely love the Philippines. It's a beautiful country, but there's just like no public transport. If the public transport is there, it's not very safe. A lot of it is ferries. A lot of it is just like dilapidated buses, and the ferries are crazy unsafe. Like you hear of accidents all of the time happening on the high seas in the Philippines where ferries run into each other or ferries just are overloaded and they crash. So it was very challenging to find transportation in the Philippines that was safe, and we sort of resorted to just hiring our own scooters and getting around like that. So it was either something to do with the language barrier or it had to do with moving around. They were the two challenges. I think the third challenge from a destination perspective wasn't necessarily a country specifically, but it had to do about finding accommodation that was suitable for a family. Vietnam, English barrier was very hard, and then the Philippines, from a logistics perspective, moving around was difficult just because there's so many islands and you have to either fly, catch ferries, or ferry bus combinations to get anywhere. Do you set a budget per month or do you just go with the flow? We have a very loose budget, and I've done a whole video on that budget right here. But yeah, we do have a rough budget. We generally work off $150 a day Australian. That is our budget for traveling around Southeast Asia. And I would say $50 to $70 of that is accommodation. Food is about $30 to $40 of it, and the rest is just everything else. But we are very loose and fast with that because some countries need more budget. Like Japan, for instance, you'll need way more than $150 a day because your accommodation is going to be $100 a day by itself. If you can average $150 a day, you'll be living a pretty good life in Southeast Asia for that price. And that includes flights and everything. So you're living like we do. If you go to our Mitch's Horizon YouTube channel and see the vlog, $100 a day, you can definitely do it. You could probably do it on $50 a day if you're really keen, but you would really struggle to find decent accommodation for that. What kind of luggage and packing strategy do you use? This is a fantastic question, and I think it makes or breaks your trip. So listen up, guys. We have two 60-liter luggage suitcases that go in check-in. That is for the whole family. So we have two suitcases. Got to remember that kids' clothes don't take up as much room, and we pack very lean. We've done a video on everything that we pack, so you can see that for yourself, what goes in the bags. But we have two America Tourister hard shell check bags, and that's what carries the bulk of our stuff. And then we carry 4 backpacks. So we have 4 backpacks because we all have laptops. I have a laptop, Pauline has a laptop, and the kids have laptops. What we've done recently and what we've just changed is we've gone from the kids having backpacks that had wheels to giving the kids like carry-on roller bags, the ones you can put up in the overhead compartments, because we found they didn't need backpacks. They never carried them. They just rolled them around anyway. So we might as well get something that's square so we can pack more into them. What I would highly recommend, like I said, is just not to overpack and try and keep your bags under 25 kilos, because on the budget carriers, if you go over 25 kilos, the cost goes up a lot. All right, so the next question actually comes from our other YouTube channel, which is for the agency itself, My Online Guy, if you want to look it up. You spoke about ADHD and how do you navigate that when traveling? Yeah, this is a great question. I'm very lucky that Pauline is the opposite to me. So Pauline is very methodical. She plans a lot. She likes making itineraries. I like to be spontaneous and have adventures. So between the two of us, we have a good mix and a good balance. The one good thing about having ADHD is it makes me very good at handling stress and making decisions quickly and fast. We've had situations where we've left something behind, both of us were neurotypical, we probably would have sat there and panicked, then worked out a plan. Whereas I was like, Pauline, get in a taxi, go and get it. I'll hold the train and then you can get back on. So there is advantages to having it. One of the disadvantages is planning. You know, I'm not the greatest player in the world, so Pauline takes charge of that. So we just play to our strengths. So she does a lot of the logistics and I do a lot of the day-to-day operations. When you're a family unit, you have different roles. And my role is not filling in a document because I don't want to be stuck at the border because I missed a spot and I didn't fill it out properly. Pauline's role is to do that kind of stuff. That's where her zone of genius is. So we just play to our strengths. But yeah, that's how we manage it. Very lucky to have a wife that is the exact opposite of me in that aspect. So it works out well. Do you think you'll be able to settle again in Australia now that you've seen and done so many amazing things? We love Australia. Australia is our home. You know, I served in the military. I gave up a portion of my life to defend the country and its interests. And ultimately, that's a home for the boys. We're Australian. That's where we come from. And that's like our island home, as they say. What I will say, though, is that Southeast Asia is growing on us a lot as a place to live. You know, we could easily see a place like Da Nang or Kuala Lumpur being our home base and then just coming back to Australia for 2-3 months at a time, 4 months at a time. So live in Southeast Asia, but just come back when we want to visit home. The thing is, it's a very compelling offer to live in Southeast Asia if you're Australian. It's a lot cheaper. You know, the cost of living is so much better than Australia. The quality of life is really good in somewhere like KL in Malaysia. Super family friendly. There's a lot of opportunities in Southeast Asia to make a lot of money. Whatever happens from here, we've made a heap of memories. And if we have to come back to Australia tomorrow, we've made a heap of memories. We're happy we did the trip regardless of whether we have to come back or not. Okay, so that's it, guys. Let me know if you've enjoyed this format and you've enjoyed me answering questions, because as you can tell, I really do enjoy answering questions and I think you guys have asked some absolutely amazing ones. And if you've enjoyed this, make sure to follow and to subscribe to the Families on the Horizon channel and also the Mitches on the Horizon channel, which is our everyday vlog. Guys, I'm Jimmy and I'll catch you all on the horizon.